Now, the Supreme Court is set to hear another petition with regards to the ongoing NEET UG 2020 controversy. This was the second plea filed after the exam results were out on June 4th over awarding grace marks in the examination. Controversy so far has been majorly over two aspects: grace marks being awarded and paper leaks. However, yesterday there's a new aspect that got highlighted: exam center manipulation. Students were seen from three states, Odisha, Karnataka, Jharkhand, who were seen choosing a certain center in Gujarat's Godhra. So much so that they even paid rupees 10 lakhs to ensure that this was executed. Now, as we speak of exam center manipulation, let's also take a quick look at another instance that's been highlighted yesterday. A candidate paid rupees 60 crores for access to the question paper. This came in from Uttar Pradesh. Now remember, on June 11th, the Supreme Court has already heard a case on paper leak, and the next hearing has been scheduled for July 8th. While the Supreme Court had initially rejected any possibility of reconducting the examination, they have asked for a clarification to be issued by the NTA over why the sanctity of this examination was violated. No stay so far has been put on the counselling session for the NEET 2024, but today there is a second hearing that's to take place. This is over the grace marks being awarded, and this is scheduled to take place at 10:30 a.m. Now, it is expected that the Supreme Court may change their initial decision of putting a stay on the counselling sessions. We will bring you all the latest updates as to what exactly develops over the case. But this right now is the timeline so far. In the month of May, that was May 5th when the exam took place. That's when the first instances of paper leaks were quoted. It was after that again, the SC had said that the future of 23 lakh students cannot be put to question, cannot just be put out there by reconducting the examination. So in June 1, another petition was filed, an official petition with regards to paper leaks, which was heard on June 11th. Supreme Court has asked the NTA to clarify, and now the second petition is to be heard over the matter of grace marks. Well, we will get into an in-depth discussion over this, but before that, let's take a deeper dive into the entire matter. On June 11, the Supreme Court sought a response from the National Testing Agency following allegations of widespread irregularities in the NEET exam. The NEET undergraduate results declared on June 4th had triggered nationwide outrage. Apart from irregularities, NEET exam has been accused by the Tamil Nadu government of displaying an income and language bias. So, is the NEET exam elitist? Let's take a look.
On 11th June, the Supreme Court sought a response from the National Testing Agency. They were following allegations of widespread irregularities in the NEET exam. The NEET undergraduate results declared on 4th June had triggered nationwide outrage. Apart from irregularities, the NEET exam has been accused by the Tamil Nadu government of displaying an income and language bias. So, is the NEET exam elitist? Is India's medical education just for English-speaking students? News9 Plus decodes. Well, first let us begin by understanding what NEET is. Students aspiring to pursue medical courses such as MBBS, BDS and Ayush programs in India must clear this exam. Why did the NEET 2024 results lead to an uproar? The NEET results declared on June 4th were questioned for several reasons that has stirred up controversy right now. One is the unusually high number of topper candidates, like 67 of them, compared to a maximum of 3 toppers in the previous 5 years. Secondly, grace marks were awarded to around 1,500 candidates for loss of time. Finally, 44 of the toppers received grace marks for getting an answer wrong because a version of a class 12 NCERT textbook had an inaccuracy. What is the Rajan Committee? Headed by Justice A.K. Rajan, it was set up by the DMK government in Tamil Nadu in 2021 to find out whether NEET was an equitable method to select candidates for admission to medical courses. Well, the panel prepared a comprehensive report on the basis of hard data along with feedback from students, parents and the public. It submitted its findings in September 2021. Well, what are the main findings of Rajan Committee? The conclusions indicate a deep-set class and language bias. Let's put it simply, the panel says NEET fosters inequity and benefits affluent candidates who can afford expensive personal coaching while keeping out the underprivileged. The panel's findings reveal that the share of children of parents who didn't earn above a particular income level fell in the NEET results. In contrast, the share of students from higher income families increased. Therefore, the panel recommended immediate steps to eliminate NEET from the admission process. What do the Rajan Committee findings say about language bias? The panel says that there's a link between the medium of education and discrimination. Vernacular medium students in Tamil Nadu and other Indian states are associated with disadvantaged social backgrounds. Between 2017-18 and 2020-21, the share of Tamil medium students in the state's medical college seats ranged between 1.6% and 3.27%. English medium students rose to 98% in the same period. What is the underlying political battle behind the anti-NEET demands? Taking an anti-NEET stance has been a populist political trope in Tamil Nadu's politics. 7 years ago, the AIADMK government introduced the Tamil Nadu Admission to MBBS and BDS Courses Bill 2017 and also another one, the Tamil Nadu Admission to Postgraduate Courses in Medicine and Dentistry Bill 2017. And both these bills sought state autonomy in medical admissions. Both bills were returned by the President in September 2017. In 2021, with M.K. Stalin as the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, the State Assembly passed the Tamil Nadu Admission to Undergraduate Medical Degree Courses Bill. This was to replace NEET and allow admission to medical courses based on class 12 marks to ensure social justice. So, what is the future of the NEET exam? On 11th June, the Supreme Court sought a response from the National Testing Authority on a petition seeking cancellation of the NEET 2024 exam. The NTA has set up another panel to look into the NEET mess. The Apex Court has adjourned the case to 8th July. Will we find a solution to the NEET mess by then? Well, that's easier said than done.
Well, joining me on the broadcast is my colleague Lakshana Gulati and Deepak Badana. Lakshana is reporting from the Supreme Court where all the action is to take place today with regards to the case that we are looking at. And Deepak is reporting from Jantar Mantar where we are expecting a large-scale protest being staged by the students. Lakshana, I'll come to you first. Help us understand what's underway there and what do the lawyers, if you have gotten a chance to speak to them, what do they have to say about today's hearing?
Sure, Shreya. So it's very emotive being here at the Supreme Court today, where three crucial petitions are underway. They are going to be heard by a vacation bench of the Supreme Court, headed by Justice Vikram Nath and Sandeep Mehta. So at 10:30 a.m. is when the hearing will start, and there are three petitions that are going to be heard by the vacation bench. Now what are these petitions and who has filed them? I'll get you some details on that. So the first petition is being filed by the CEO of the EdTech startup, Alek Pandey, who has challenged the NTA and has said that the process of granting arbitrary grace marks is, not durable. So basically, that is what he's challenging, and he's garnered, reactions and he's garnered signatures from around 20,000 students to support his claim. So the second petition that is underway and that is going to be heard is filed by a students' union, and that has actually called for a whole scrap of the present NEET exam and a retest if required. They are also saying that the process of granting, these marks and these grace marks is extremely arbitrary. They've also asked for the setting up of a special investigative team to look into the matter and do a proper inquiry. So there are these three petitions, and so what's also very interesting, Shreya, is the fact that for the first time NEET has crossed over 24,000 lakh students who appeared for the exam. So it's literally their future at stake, and that is what the Supreme Court is going to be taking up and hearing today. Now the Supreme Court had also on July 11th kind of wrapped the NTA and said that there are aspersions being cast, the sanctity of the exam itself has been questioned, so they need to get back on that.
Right, Lakshana, do stay with us. We'll keep coming back to you, in fact, with regards to all that's happening and developing in the Supreme Court premises. But right now, we will quickly go across to Deepak. But Anna, Deepak, just let me break this to our viewers out there as to the protests that have been ongoing since yesterday. Students have been staging a protest at Jantar Mantar over the ongoing NEET controversy. The question is, while the students do want a reconduct of the examination, will it be a fair solution? One which puts lakhs of students under immense mental pressure due to the mistakes of several thousands only. This is the question that we're looking at. With that, let's cut across to Deepak. Deepak, yes, help us understand what the situation is like at Jantar Mantar currently. What are we expecting the students from the students' protest that is to be staged there, and what's the situation like?
Shreya, we must understand that when we're talking about the future of 24 lakh students, these are people who've been studying for years and they've been, far away from their homes. Many of them have gone to distant places such as Kota to study. Their families have put in a lot of emotional and financial investment into their future. Now, when you see such a prestigious exam such as the NEET entrance being ridiculed for, aspersions being cast on its sanctity, as the Supreme Court has noted, it shows a very sorry state of affairs. Yesterday was the beginning of a NEET satyagraha by a citizen named Hariom Dubey, whose son had attempted NEET for the second time. We saw a crowd of about 100 people here. Today by 10:30 we expect more people to come, and according to them, a night satyagraha is on the cards. They're planning to do a dharna here for the upcoming days. If you hear the students and their families, they intend to do it as long as possible. Now, when we come to the question of whether a retest would actually be the solution, here's, we're in a situation where there are no clear winners. When we talk about a retest, we must understand that a lot of children have gone through an excruciating process for these exams. Now, they might just have to do it again. And then again, let's look at the flip side. The exam has obviously been, nobody really believes the results of these exams. The entrance, although counseling is started, I don't see the admissions happening immediately. And we must understand that for a number of students who number in lakhs, if not thousands, they believe that their opportunity to get into a college of their choice has been compromised. So they are demanding a retest so that they get a fair chance of competition. So we're at a very tricky situation right now, and this is what the Supreme Court is going to decide. Let's hope for the best.
Right, Deepak. Deepak, do stay with us. We will keep coming back
Over
to you
to you.
for all the latest updates as to how the NEET Satyagraha, as the students have named their protest, the protest that they are to stage at Jantar Mantar, is to take place later in the day. With that, now let me cut across to Ashok Bagaria. Ashok, I will come to you with a simple question to begin with. At this point, with a committee that's been set up to probe into the entire matter, but the head of that very committee is the NTA chairperson, do you think that the NTA is in denial of all that's been happening so far?
See, the problem with the NEET examination this year was that ever since, even before, rather, I would say the exam was conducted, all kinds of allegations were being made. First, there were allegations of paper leak, and some students came to the Supreme Court of India seeking a stay on the conduct of the examination. There was an FIR which was lodged by the Bihar police with respect to paper leak allegations, where the investigations are still going on. Now, that is one set of allegations. Interestingly, on June 4th, when the results were declared, the students and the parents and everybody else was in for more surprise when they figured out that over 1,536 students had been awarded grace marks, and out of these students, 1,536, 67 students who were awarded grace marks had secured cent percent marks, that is 720 out of 720. And this created quite a rage and or rather an outrage amongst the students that how is it possible that somebody who hasn't even attempted the questions because of loss of time can score a cent percent marks. Now, before the Supreme Court today is a clutch of petitions. Actually, there are 3 petitions which are listed today, which are basically questioning or challenging the award of grace marks by the NTA to the students, and NTA's logic of awarding these grace marks was that there was a loss of time because these students, when they appeared in their centers to take the exam, wrong question papers were distributed to them, wrong in the sense the wrong language. So, there were students who were taking the exam in Hindi, they were given English question papers and vice versa. And this resulted in a loss of time of around 45 minutes for the students. So, what the NTA decided was that there should be some kind of a parity between the students who got the full time to attempt the question paper and the students who faced a loss of mark. And there was a process of normalization which was conducted by them. And the problem with the process of normalization is that the high number of grace marks that have been awarded. So, what is really happening here is that the NTA's role in conducting the exam is come under a scanner, and more so over, NTA has given itself a clean sheet saying that there is no paper leak while there is an investigation which is still underway. Now, last time around when the matter came up in the Supreme Court on June 11th, that was with respect to stay on the counselling process because the students alleged that there was a question paper leak. But today, we have a fresh set of petitions which are saying that the exam should be cancelled, and as an interim measure, the counselling process should be stalled because these grace marks were unfairly and arbitrarily awarded. Now, before the Supreme Court steps in or tries to decide this issue, it will call on the NTA to respond to these allegations and put its side of the story. Last time around also, the Supreme Court issued notice to the NTA, said please file an affidavit, what you have to say with respect to the paper leaks. And today also we are expecting that the Supreme Court again will be issuing notice to the NTA saying please explain your stand with respect to award of grace marks. So, this is where we are likely to be at the end of the day, and it looks very unlikely that there could be a stay on the counselling process, and both these clutches of petitions could be clubbed together and finally be heard on July 8th.
Right, Ashok. In fact, as we speak of the particular marking system here, I have with me this particular document. This is a list of FAQs that was released yesterday by the National Testing Agency. While we will take you into the depths of this FAQ, let me just read out one particular portion of it with regards to the compensatory marks. Now, accordingly, a few writ petitions were filed by the candidates of NEET 2024 before the Honorable High Courts for loss of exam time in the NEET 2024 exam at a few centres. Accordingly, a grievance redressal committee was formed which considered the grievances or representations based on factual reports of the functionaries and CCTV footage from concerned exam centres. Now, to compensate for the loss of time, such candidates were compensated with compensatory marks. And due to these compensatory marks, two candidates happened to secure 718 and 719. Quite a high score again that we are discussing here. With that, now I will again cut across to our colleague Lakshana. Lakshana, at this point we see the case that is to be heard today is over compensatory and grace marks. The Physics Wala CEO had pointed out that grace marks being awarded is one of the major reasons probably why these students have received such high marks, high scores. 718, 719, 720. Now the NTA also has a response to that. They have said that it is because of high competition, increased standards among the students this time that we see such marking systems. What is the scenario like?
Yes. So I spoke to a couple of students yesterday, Shreya, and they completely did not buy the NTA stance that, either the question papers are becoming, more easier, or the students are becoming more intelligent, because they are saying that all these discrepancies do not, kind of attest to the fact that there have been so many irregularities with the paper this year. And also, you have to understand, why are the students in so much uproar about this? Why has this even reached the Supreme Court? This is because, people, students from as young as class 8 sit down to take this NEET exam. These are not just aspirations of the students. These are aspirations of entire families behind them. If you go to coaching institutions, coaching factories like Kota and all, there are people just, there are students huddled in just little rooms, putting their life on hold just for this one competitive exam, this pre-medical entrance exam that is one of the toughest and happens only once a year. So you can imagine the plight of students when they are faced with counter arguments that really cut no ice with them.
No, absolutely. In fact, as we speak about this, these are some of the shots that we are bringing to you of the protests that have begun, not just in Jantar Mantar for that matter, but also across different areas in the country. With that, let me also, Lakshana, let me also just speak to Deepak about the protest. Deepak, this is not the first time we have seen such an uproar about the NEET examinations. It was first, in fact, brought in by the Tamil Nadu government. They were one of the first pioneers in protesting against the NEET examinations. And this time, 2024, we see so many issues cropping up. It's not just the matter of grace marks that the hearing is to be about today, but there is exam center manipulation, there is paper leaks that we are looking at. At this point, do you think there is also a section of students who do not want the NEET exam at all? They want a different procedure for selection for these particular MBBS colleges?
I think you've hit the nail on the head. See, I met a couple of students here, some activists as well, and these activists, they themselves had been preparing for the UPSC exam. And their chief complaint here was, it's okay, we've heard in the past that, an exam was leaked, say, in Patna or wherever, in some far corner of the country. But nobody expected a national level entrance exam to be disqualified in this sort of a way. If you look at the number of issues that are there, so there are allegations of paper leaks, there are discrepancies with the OMR sheets, the way the marks have been awarded, then the grace marks, and there seems to be a complete, dissonance between the NTA, between the students and the government. So the students, they really aren't getting any answers to their questions. To them, it's their future on the line. And there is a palpable fear that today it's NEET. What happens tomorrow? Maybe India has so many competitive exams and a number of students are vying every single year to reach their goals through these exams. So you have the NTA, the NEET exam done by the NTA, there's a UPSC, there are n number of exams for services. There is a fear that perhaps the whole system is being rigged. So when they ask for a re-exam or a retest or hashtag re-NEET as they call it, what they're really asking for is another chance, a fair competition for them to reach where they wanted to.
Right, Deepak, absolutely. In fact, with that now, let me just quickly bring to our viewers, you pointed out a very crucial fact there. The National Testing Agency, ladies and gentlemen, isn't just responsible for the NEET exam. NTA is responsible for most top exams in the country, including the CUET, the JEE Main, JNU, and many more. So these are several examinations that we are looking at. Now, experts say that the National Testing Agency has its hands full and is probably overworked. Why overworked? Well, in 2021, the NTA used to conduct 10 exams and recruitments across India. Today, the number stands at 20. Not the first time, though, that the NTA has found itself in the middle of a dispute regarding the NEET. Because even before this, as my colleague Deepak Padhana and I were just discussing, and Lakshana was also mentioning, in 2021, the NTA was under fire for not releasing the results before September. The center-related problems, OMR sheet glitches, cheating cases, unfair means being used, these are very common under exams conducted by the NDA, and this is not the first few instances of this that we have seen. With that, let's go back to Lakshana right now. Lakshana, I want to bring to your focus as well as ask you a question on this particular aspect. Yesterday, there was a highlight on a new aspect in this particular controversy, which is the exam center manipulation. Now, we have almost run out of time in this bulletin. A quick remark from you with regards to what exactly was the case.
So there have been allegations, and there have been exam center manipulations that have also been categorically mentioned by the petitioners in their petition. And they're also saying that this causes a lot of, because most of the students from particular centers also ended up with higher marks. So all of that is being is going to be heard by the Supreme Court right now. In fact, the hearing is going to begin. It's begun at 10:30 a.m. So we'll wait for the court and what it says.
Right, Lakshana, Deepak, as well as Ashok Bugaria, who were all with us in the special broadcast that we did with regards to the NEET controversy. Thank you so much for putting that into perspective and bringing us all the latest updates. We'll keep a close track as to how the hearing goes and what all comes to the fore today in the session.